Hello, second graders. Today we're going to be learning my favorite sport. It's skateboarding. Did you know skateboarding was invented from people that tried to surf when they couldn't surf the waves during the winter? And instead, they started surfing the streets, skateboarding. It's pretty fun. So, today we're going to focus on standing on the board. But before we do that, we're going to go over start and stop. Start, I'm going to say go, and we're going to go and do whatever I told you to do. Stop, I'm going to say boards down in primo position. And in primo position, the boards are like this on the ground. So you'll see right in front of you, can't move, on the ground, right in front of your feet. So, today the first activity we're going to be doing is standing on the board. To do that, we're going to know our 3 cues. Number 1, we're going to get an athletic stance. So, our knees are going to be bent. Cue number 1, knees bent. We have our knees bent to be more stable so that we don't move much and we don't want to fall. Cue 2, we're going to have our feet at least shoulder width. So, our shoulders, our feet, we're going to line up with our shoulders, shoulder width, so that we're stable again. If we're too thin, we're going to be wobbly, loosey-goosey, like a noodle. So shoulder width. Cue number 3. When we're on the board, we're going to be on the bolts. So on the bolts will also help us keep us on shoulder length. And what I did already, I put chalk where the bolts are. That's where you want to put your feet. So these are like targets. So these will help you out, keep your feet shoulder width and stay stable. So let's go over those again. So we are going to have feet shoulder width, bend the knees, and we're going to be on the bolts and stable. Okay, so the first activity we're going to do, we're going to grab a partner. And we're going to practice getting on and off the board. So we're going to put the board in front of us, and we're going to stand on the board with our left or right foot, whatever is more comfortable to you. We're going to start with one foot on the board, and then stand with the other foot. And make sure we're standing, knees bent, shoulder length because we're already on the bolts, because when our feet are on the bolts, they're already shoulder length, and we're having our knees bent, stable. So we're going to practice that at least 5 times, and then we're going to switch partners. So I'm going to have my student Anna to help demonstrate, and the other partner, they're going to help spot. So the other partner is going to help spot. So they're going to hold their hands, so in case they don't fall. I mean, if we do have pads on, they'll help us. So then the partner's going to step off. So we're going to do it 5 times and then switch. So let's do it 4 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So, and if you need a variation, that was kind of like the easy variation. If you want a harder variation, you could jump on it. Be careful jumping. That's why we also have a spotter, someone to hold the hands. But if not, if she feels reckless, she can jump on it without anybody spotting her. There you go. And we'll do that 5 times. Okay, second graders, we're going to freeze. Everybody put their boards in primo position. So again, remember, board is sideways like this, on the ground at your feet. And I'm going to show you something to add on to our little standing on the board. So, next activity we're doing to extend on what we just did, to stand on the board with stability, we are going to flip the board over and stand on it, like so. Like that. So basically, you want your feet underneath the board, where the trucks are, just like that, like where my hands are, and we're going to jump and flip it over and land on it. We're going to try to do it 5 times again, and also have our partner spot us so that we don't fall. So, again, we're going to have the board facing up with the wheels up. We're going to have our feet underneath where the trucks are. See it? And then we're just going to jump straight up. It should flip the board up, and we land on the bolts. And we're going to have our knees bent, feet, shoulder width apart. We're going to be on bolts. So, it's going to keep us stable. We're going to have my student help demonstrate this again. So we're going to have it underneath her feet. And we're We're gonna jump, and then we're gonna have your partner spot them again, in case they don't fall. We're gonna try that 5 times again, then switch. There we go, 2. 3. See how she's bending her knees, and her feet are shoulder length apart, right on the bolts. 3 the cues. 4. 1 more. 5. There you go. And then, if you want to make this harder, you could flip the board twice over and land on it. So, you can either flip it twice, land on it, or you get the board standing up just like this and flip it underneath. Like that. So, if you want to challenge yourself, you can do that. Have your spotter and your partner, and then we'll move on to the next activity. Okay, students, everybody freeze again. We're going to gather up and come back in for closure. So everybody take your boards, put them back in the designated zone near me, like in primo position. We'll just put them in a line, just like so. Like that. And then we're going to do some review. So when everybody's ready, we'll raise our hands and see if anybody can answer my questions. So question number 1, why do we bend our knees? For the first key, why do we bend our knees when we're standing on the board? Anybody know? If you don't know, it's to stay stable. If we don't bend our knees and we lock them, we become like a loosey-goosey noodle. We don't want to be loosey-goosey. We want to be stable. So to be stable, we bend our knees, absorb some cushion, or absorb some impact. It's a little cushiony, and we can stay stable. Cool. Question number 2. How do we stand? What kind of length do we stand with our feet? The answer to that question is, we stand feet shoulder width apart. Why do we stand shoulder width apart? Because if we stand like really thin and our feet are together, again, we're loosey-goosey like a noodle. And we don't want to be like that because we can easily fall. So, we stand shoulder length apart, knees bent again. We are stable. We're gonna cruise the streets and be good and be on the board. Okay. Question number 3. Why do we land on the bolts of the skateboard? Bolts being where I drew out on the targets again, on the chalk. Answer to that question is because we're the most stable. We are the most stable on the board on the bolts because that's where the trucks are. Trucks being the most stable part of the board. They keep it on the ground. It's where the wheels start and it lifts the board on the ground. It keeps the board on the ground. Basically, if you stand anywhere else, you might feel a little wobbly. It's a little easier to stand on the bolts. You could feel it's really solid on the ground. Feel really connected to the ground, except falling. Anyways, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed skateboarding. Hope to see you again and do some more fun activities. Have fun.